Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Purple Lady. One of the Valkyries is here. Samantha Joe, the other Valkyrie, is here. Mr. CCDB. Good morning, brother. Kronos. Good morning. Kapla, Bird of Prey 5. Kapla, Kathia Star. Good morning. Psycho Dork 9. Here's Loki. That's right. That guy says, how you doing, brother? How are you doing? Heirs of Chaos. Good morning, Battle Angel. Lori Roberts, the Destructor, is here. Crimson Mist, Nina Green. Good morning, Nina. Jedi Bill 797. How are you guys doing this morning? Good morning and welcome to everybody. Darth Monkey Orab, how are you doing? Darth Haster, the Darths are here. Just don't tell us you're our fathers. Oh, what's his face, Mick? Whatnot? Hail and good morning. Chronos Chiron, good morning, sir. Captain Shrek, how are you doing, brother? Mark, the infinitely tired, is here. Loki, Adiga Outlaw. Oh, I'm sorry. Adega Outlaw. Everybody, hashtag Adega Ferreira. And the shirts are coming. I'm working on them. Clamshell bra and all. It's happening, guys. It is happening. Mr. CCDV, good morning. RR, good morning, RR. Wow, so guys, Keely Chow, roll tide, Keely, roll tide. I am not the father, Darth Monkey Orab. That's right. That's right. So I'd like to welcome my guest for today. You know him, you love him. He is NB GEEK. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you doing today? I'd like to say a shout out to a few of these people: Adega Outlaw, Captain Trek, Kronos, Samantha Joe, Purple Lady. I think actually quite a few of them. We were all, well, some of them were active in a chat I was on DJ Odysseys not too long ago. This morning, actually, I woke up, saw they were live, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go check this out." And you know what? They looked like they were having. Yeah, they I think ran for like 3 hours. I caught up I think the last hour, and they sounded like they were just having a blast.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what it's like, man. What's a DJ? You know who DJ is, Kronos. You know who DJ is. DJ's a really good guy, isn't he?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say so. And I think Cronus is teasing because I think he was there because him and I were talking. Him and I were definitely talking back and forth.
So, man, I know you have got you've got a Star Trek review panel coming up, and you've been doing those lately. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So it started out about a month and a half ago, and we had the lockdown and everything going on, and I was binging Star Trek, and I was like, wow, I'm 40 years old, and I'm like, this is so different, from what I remember. I mean, I can remember an episode completely clearly, but I see it so differently now. And I said, why aren't we talking about this? I mean, all I ever hear is, CBS, Discovery, Picard, and okay, yeah, I get they suck, and I understand that, but there's so much more to talk about. Like for example, we're going to talk on Monday. Samantha Joe and Stone Loki have accepted my invitation. Are going to be guests, and we're going to talk about the character Q. And I mean, this is what I wanted. I wanted to have a group of people get together and talk about Star Trek in a fun, positive light, because that's really what it is. And I'm not trying to, I don't want to get political on it. I mean, my political views are pretty obvious if you ever get on my Twitter page, but there is so much you can see, whether you're conservative, liberal, independent, any kind of mind. You can find so much to relate to in the Federation and in Star Trek. And I said, let's break this down. Let's start really getting into, these characters. Like we did captains, we've done starships, we've done TOS, TNG episodes. And of course, we'll get back to more of those because there's so many. But Mr. Meir, one of my regular panelists, he said, hey, why don't we talk about Q? And I said, that's a great idea. I'm like, this is a character we can really break down and have some fun with because he was in TNG, DS9, and Voyager, and there's an evolution to that character that was really written well, and I think that's a key thing to the craftsmanship of Star Trek was you had to write an episode and have a beginning, middle, and end. You had to get all 5 acts in a 60-minute episode or a 45-minute episode. And man, some of the stories we got were just fantastic. And I want to talk about that stuff, and I want people to be involved in it, and I want diverse discussion. I want people to say, hey, I didn't like this episode. Okay, why didn't you like it? I want to hear your reasons. I want to hear why you didn't like a certain character. I want to hear and you know what? If you're a fan of Discovery or Picard, you can still come to our channel and just listen to us talk about classic Star Trek, and maybe it'll help you with a new perspective and maybe give you a little understanding on why a lot of us old Star Trek fans don't like it. We are not. I am not going to bash Picard or Discovery on my channel right now. I am just going to sit back and I want to enjoy Star Trek. I want to have fun.
Yeah, that's what we all want. That is what we all want. I remember when I got the TNG collection on Blu-ray, and I was completely blown away by the picture quality, the sound quality, especially in Best of Both Worlds. They did an absolutely wonderful job with those. And you see the work that went into that. And the behind the scenes features of them going in and almost like completely recreating the episodes.
Yeah, I don't have that version yet. I have the DVD sets. I do want to get the Blu-ray because I've seen the before and after quality, and I'm like, this just looks gorgeous. And I do have the TOS Blu-ray with the enhanced scenes, and I've got to be honest, I love that. I love the enhanced scenes. I love how they made the effort to put good quality in, but also still make it feel like it's still a 60s show. And I thought they did an incredible job with it. And I thought they actually did what I hope they planned to do, which was enhance the show, make the experience better. Because if you're going to do it, you want to do it to make the experience better for the audience.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. That's exactly what you want to do.
I'd love to get I am planning on getting the Blu-ray TNG eventually. I would love it if we could get an enhanced Blu-ray of DS9 too. That would just be for me. That would be icing on the cake, because DS9 is my favorite, and that's only recently because I found I related to a lot of the characters on DS9 more as a retired military person than I did on any other Star Trek show.
Yep.
Especially with Cisco being a single father and, dealing with that single parenting issue. I mean, one of the first ships I got was that Bajoran solar sail ship.
Solar sail, yes.
Yeah. I was like going crazy when I saw that episode again, and I was just like, this is a father. I mean, we didn't have father-son episodes very much in Star Trek, even when, you could say you had some mother-daughters with Wesley, but nothing like that episode. I mean, it just was a bonding moment that was just so surreal. And then, somebody was saying, yeah, they didn't do a whole lot of that. And as I was watching, I was like, man, I love DS9, but they missed the boat. There was so much more father-son bonding they could have done. And don't get me wrong, they did good episodes when they did it, but they could have done so many more.
Oh, they could have. And greetings to Trey from Max World Entertainment. Thank you for popping in today, dude. I know your allergies are killing you, man. I hope you are well. Stay safe, brother. That solar cell ship, I had to order that bitch from Eagle Moss 3 times.
Really? I only had I was lucky. I got it the first try on Eagle Moss. Actually,
yeah.
My wife it was funny. My wife told me I needed a new hobby, so I started collecting Eagle Moss, and I have I'm waiting on it to show up. I'm actually got one more Enterprise coming, the cage version of the Enterprise, and I can't wait to look at it and the TOS and look at the differences.
So you do,
Uh,
but you do have the Bajoran vessel.
yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I could.
See,
I
mine
could shoot.
every time I got mine, one of the sails was broken off. It was like
Oh, you.
snapped at the joint where it joins, literally snapped. The plastic just snapped. And it was the same way the second time I got one. And I'm taking pictures of these and emailing them because I'm like, guys, I'm not, this isn't me dicking around here. And here's the pictures. As soon as I opened the box and lifted up that manual you get, the big manual you get, and I pulled the top off of that Eagle Moss box, I just take a picture of it. And it happened the third time, and they were like, "Well, we can't keep sending you these." I said, "Then send me something else because it's breaking in shipping every single time."
Yeah, one of the few things I've done with those is I've actually kept all the boxes of my Eagle
Yeah.
Moss in case, and I don't plan on moving anytime soon. I love where I live, but I'm like, I want these things can be delicate, and they are, unfortunately, they are a bit easy to break if you're not
Yep.
careful.
Yep. And if
And
you mix up those stands, let me tell you something. Because I moved in 2016, and I just dumped all the stands in a box. Let me tell you something. Figuring out what goes with what, that's a bitch.
I could believe it. I could definitely believe it. But yeah, I mean, I'll give Eagle Moss all the credit in the world. They have great quality stuff. Unfortunately, I've got to be honest, their stands are not the greatest.
No.
I mean, the placement of the stand is sometimes not. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I'm gonna throw my camera up here. There it is.
Yep. Yep. I got
That
3
is
of those.
this is this is what I like about Star Trek. When you think about this, I look at the ship and it invokes so many memories and so many experiences. So when I think of Star Trek and I think of episodes, I don't necessarily think of all the content. I think of all the experience and the emotions. And this is why I say, when I talk about Star Trek, it's not it is a TV show, but it is transcended from TV to TV phenomena. I mean, we're still talking about it and we're still arguing about it. And then you don't have many shows that you can really sit back and think about that you can do that with. I mean, I love Lucy, but how many times do you break down an episode of that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, back then, that's all they had. It's a family joke, the old man telling you, when I had to walk up and when I was your age, I had to walk up to the TV and change it manually. Yeah, you had 2 fucking channels. I Love Lucy, and who gives a shit what was on the other channel?
Oh, it was either what I Love Lucy or the president was on.
Yeah. And that's not me saying anything bad about I Love Lucy. It's just that's what they had on.
Oh, no, I agree. But I mean, when you look at what Star Trek is, in my mind, is you look at it, it had a failed pilot, The Cage. It had enough spark to say, we'll do a second pilot, which is virtually unheard of even now. And they got a second pilot. Then they did 78 episodes. I'm not counting The Cage because Cage didn't get released until the 80s, except for, the two-parter Menagerie where it got cut up in there, which I thought was actually a really good way of doing it.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and
You've got a
definitely,
good, solid story. You've got a good, solid story, and it's already been paid for. And
exactly.
You can take those funds that you were going to spend on the majority of those 2 episodes and use them on something else. Why not?
And I mean, when you look at some of the storylines of just any of the, and I'm into Voyager right now. I'm on season 7, and I'm going to be honest. I've said this: the first 2 seasons, I felt like something was missing. I still haven't figured it out. But I asked other people. I said, "Do you think there's something missing in those first few seasons?" They said, "Yeah, there's something off here." And I said, "Okay, so it's not just me." And we got to halfway through season 3, 4, 5, and I think around halfway through season 3 to 4 is when it started picking up and really becoming a good show and good stories. So it took them a little bit of time, but they really got up there. And some of the stories I've seen on there, I'm like, this is Star Trek. This is what Star Trek is.
Have
So,
you ever figured out what it was? I mean, that it was missing. Did you ever like put a nail in it? I know what it was for me, but I'm just curious.
I'm not 100% sure. I still don't know what was missing. I think if I had to be an asshole about it, I'm going to say it was Janeway's character.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think she came into her own or figured out what kind of captain she was going to be until about halfway through season 3. And then season 4, when 7 and 9 comes in and we start seeing more interactions there. I'm sorry, but Kess was, and I don't blame the actress. The writers really did not do her justice,
No, no, not at
and
all.
it wasn't her fault. And I even looked up some things, and I was like, oh, thank God, because they even said they go, yeah, we wrote her out, and they've come back and said, yeah, that was piss poor on us. We screwed up in the writing room. We made a mistake. We didn't know what to do with her, and we took the easy way out. I'm like, at least you will fucking admit you made a mistake.
Yep.
Unlike, every now and again, I'd like a little, Joel Schumacher humility here, like a Batman and Robin. I mean, even George Clooney comes out and says, look, man, that was a bad role for me. It was a fuck up. I screwed up the franchise. I'm sorry. Unlike what we're getting now, where it's like, oh, it's all our fault, the fans' fault, because we didn't get what we wanted. Well, that's kind of how it works. If I go to a restaurant and I order a steak medium rare and I get a well done steak, I'm going to be like, this is not what I ordered. This is not what I asked for. And I view cinema the same way. I expect a certain return on my investment. I'm paying you for a service. You are acting. You are doing this. If I don't like it, I'm going to tell you just like I tell the waiter with my steak. I'm going to say, I'm sorry, this is not what I ordered. This is not what I want. And I'm going to complain about it. And if you start yelling back at me saying I'm wrong, I'm like, I'm the customer. And last time I checked, it's me who's consuming this stuff. You're producing it. I'm consuming it. I'm the final say in whether it's good or not.
That's true. And you know what? I tell you, when I went back and watched Voyager, and I will come back and watch Voyager a couple of times, Janeway is missing a vital piece of equipment she has later. And for anyone that's going to be offended by this, I really like Janeway. She was missing her balls.
Yep. I was wondering if you were going to say it. I was wondering.
There is an episode where they have the phage, where they meet those people, and she tells them, if you ever mess with any of my people, any member of my crew ever again, I will hunt y'all down and I just annihilate you. And then they do it, and she still doesn't do it.
Yeah, see, this was my problem with Janeway those first few seasons. I couldn't tell if she was trying to be more Picard, more Kirk, more Cisco, and she really didn't come into her own as a captain until about the last episode. Bob, Jerry Ryan's. Yes, I'm going to be honest. She does. Every time I see her on an episode, and it's an episode centered around 7 and 9, it's generally a really good episode. Especially when the children showed up, those Borg children. I was like, man, I wish they had thought of this before the latter half of season 6. This could have been a great, expansion. I mean, they do a good job with the kids and Icheb and all of them, but it's unfortunate they waited so long to do that. But at least they, took the time to do it, and it's a great show. It's like the example. The most recent episode I watched was all the poor kids are sitting with Neelix, and Neelix is telling a ghost story, and I'm like, you don't get much more Star Trek than this.
No, you don't. And they even admitted, how do we make Janeway a strong, tough character without making her a man-hating viper? I believe that was it wasn't DC Fontana. It was one of the other ones, one of the showrunners that talked about that. We want to make Janeway a strong female character, but we don't want to make her a toxic man-hating viper either.
And I think they nailed it with the Equinox two-parter.
Yeah.
She is not mad at that captain because he's a man. She is mad at that captain because he has betrayed everything she believes in.
That's right.
And she even removes Chakotay from command because Chakotay's saying, you are taking this too far. You are taking this personally. You are putting all of us in danger because of your obsession. And it was one of the times, she finally had to sit back and look at herself and say, but even when she was being told to her face, she still, she still went through with it and then finally realized I've taken, I'm becoming what, and in my mind, watching episodes, she kind of becomes what she hates. She's, I'm sorry, but Janeway will skirt tail the Prime Directive if it suits her, depending on what the writers decide. Unfortunately, that's just the way it worked. And I think that was a detriment to her character.
I always liked that episode because I felt like Janeway's like, I have done everything I can to maintain the directives and the principles of the Federation and keep my crew alive. You bastards have broken every single rule in the book, and you shouldn't have. Because you can still get home, even though they had a smaller ship. There was no way they would have been destroyed at some point if they hadn't done what they'd done. But and that's why that captain did what he did, because they would have been destroyed. There's no way they couldn't have gotten as far out as Voyager, because they had like 30, 35 people on the ship, and that was it. A crew of 50 maybe.
I think I think the Nova class had a crew of about 70, and I remember I think it was about 70. It could be 50, but I remember him saying they went through an area and he lost 39 of his crew right off that, and that probably is what changed his point of view, losing half his crew. He's been working on it. Okay, let's think about Janeway here. Janeway has, for the most part, had a pretty pristine ship and a full crew. This captain was working on a skeleton crew. They were getting desperate. Their chain of command broke down, unfortunately. And, I'm sad to say that is the kind of shit that would possibly happen on a ship of that size and that class.
Yep.
So, but it's Janeway's obsession with, she's so angry that I think she really couldn't see past her own pips and on her uniform. She couldn't imagine why this captain did this. And then, at the end, she finally realizes he's doing this for his crew. The same thing she's done.
That's right.
Just he took the wrong approach. He took the wrong approach. He crossed the line when it came to those aliens. There's no question. You can't excuse what they did. The first time, yes, you can get away and say, okay, it was an accident. You didn't mean to kill the alien. You used the technology. But then after that, that's when they crossed the line. And there was no coming back from that. At that point, what were they thinking when they got back to Earth and they had to explain? Were they going to scrub their but they weren't even thinking about that. They didn't care. As far as they were concerned, they could end up in the brig for the rest of their lives.
Yep,
and at least they'd be home.
They're home. Yeah. Yeah, and where he lost the majority of his crew, Janeway lost her key personnel, obviously, plot reasons, because the Maquis were going to integrate with the Starfleet crew from the very beginning. That was the whole point of that little thing. So she lost her first officer, she lost her engineering officer, and she lost her chief medical officer.
Yes.
So yeah, they had different levels of damage. While Janeway lost key personnel she needed for a ship, the Equinox lost the majority of its crew.
Well, also, whereas the Intrepid class was for long range exploration and tactical, the Nova class. Okay, so I'm looking at it here. Nova class was strictly a science fit. This is not a ship that should have been outlined. It was like Wolf 359 or Dominion War. This is not a ship you would see go out there and be a frontline vessel.
No,
And
it was
I
like
mean, it had
a
eight
Ober.
deck,
It was like an Ober's class.
78. It had a crew complement of 78. So think about it. The captain had a crew complement of 78, and he lost 35 of them in the first gamble he takes. I mean, that had to take a toll on the morale and the psyche of those people. And like I said, this is a science ship. He's a captain and he's a scientist, but he's a specific type of scientist. I don't remember what they said he was. I think he was exobotany, maybe. I could be wrong. But he knew how to hide and seek because he knew he was in a smaller ship and a weaker vessel. So he would hide and play the cat and mouse tactics, and he was good at it. So he was good as a captain, but when it came to, unfortunately, his ship should have never made it that far. I mean, it's unrealistic that a ship of that size and that class should have made it that far. But he did many things right until he crossed the line. And they crossed the line by accident, but then they crossed it and they stepped over and said, okay, we're going to keep doing this. And that's when they made their pact, as lack of a thing, they made their pact with the devil on that one. But this is why I like talking Star Trek. This is why I want to set it, because we can, spend all the time in the world breaking down just one episode or one character. I mean, we could spend an hour talking about Captain was it Ramsey? I think it was Ramsey.
It was Ransom.
Ransom.
I bet you it was Ransom.
I think it was. Voyager Endgame. Anyway, but like I said, I mean, this is what I love about the idea of doing a Star Trek channel is there is so much out there. If you're like me, you have 10 movies and 725 episodes to talk about. We have a plethora of fun stuff. The Vidians were freaky. Oh God, the Vidians.
The Vidians.
Oh, those poor bastards.
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier. That was the race that Janeway said, you ever mess with my people again, I will hunt you bastards down and destroy every single last one of you. And then they do, and she doesn't. She doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, we are continuing on our journey home. And I'm like, wait a minute. You said that if they ever messed with you again, you were going to hunt them down and completely destroy them. And now you don't do shit. That always bothered me.
LDG Pixel says it was Captain Rudolph Ransom. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, he did
that's
have
what
a
I
red
love
nose.
about Geek, man.
He did have a red nose.
Yeah, he did. But when it came to Janeway, she just it was about, like I said, halfway through season 3, she finally, I guess, for lack of a better term, and I'll go with you, she found her balls.
Yep.
Or if you want to go in a woman's term, she found her ovaries. But she finally became.
You brought up Intrepid, the long range science. It was also a recon vessel. This
yes.
Intrepid would fly in really quick and use that badass deflector dish to scan a whole area if they had to do recon for fleets before they went in. Yes, it could hold its own in a fight because of the way it was designed. The phaser rays. If you watch the TNG episode where Riker is on that Stargazer class ship or the Constellation class ship and they're having that war game, Picard calls for a circumvental attitude attack. And what that means that the Enterprise is going to bear all of its bottom phaser arrays, all of them, all at the same time. So multiple phaser attacks. And that's why that tactical officer is like, bye-bye, Hathaway. Voyager was designed to do that very quickly and constantly.
Well, I think this has always been my theory on what happened after you look at DS9 and Voyager. I think that especially after the Borg threat and then with the Dominion War, even before the Dominion, the Federation finally got their, I hate to say it, but I'm going to bring this up one day. They got their head out of their ass and decided we need tactical warships.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but the Enterprise and the Galaxy class, it's a lovely cruise ship. It's a cruise liner. It
Yeah.
is not a warship. And the Intrepid class is mobile, movable, agile, small, strong, and powerful. And that is literally how the military thinks. You want to make your things as small and mobile and easily movable as possible. You know, bigger is not always better.
Nope. That's the Defiant. The Defiant is the key aspect of that again. Very fast, very sleek, very powerful, overpowered to the point that they had to tweak it just right to get it to run right. Then that was all thanks to O'Brien.
Oh, O'Brien. Now, you want to talk about a character that I relate to? That is the most relatable character in all of Star Trek for me because he's enlisted. He's married. He has 2 kids. And I would see him on DS9. I mean, loved him in TNG. But man, DS9, he got to shine. He got to be, you know, the relatable guy that I would understand where he's like, you know, he's listening to these officers, and every now and again he's like, you know, I've been doing this a long ass time. I know what I'm talking about. You know, so shut up and listen to me once in a while. I mean, he never talked like that, but you know, he always came off as, you know, they respected him. He was the only enlisted person to ever get any kind of respect. Unfortunately, the crewmen and the chiefs that they showed, they never really got to do anything. They were just sitting there and working the transport or whatever. So it was great for someone like me, who was enlisted for 20 years, to get to actually see somebody portray a lifestyle I understand. A family man, a working man. I mean, his wife is also, I don't know if Keiko was enlisted or more like a contractor or a botanist, but as
You
a
as
botanist.
well, Jeff Franklin. You as well. You have a good day, sir. Wasn't trying to interrupt you, man. I
No worries, buddy.
People going in and out, and I like to say something.
Oh no, dude, it's your channel, man. You do what you need. You do what you want to. But yeah, I mean, so he would go away, she would go away, you know, he'd be separated from his kids and, you know, have some stock in his best friend, you know, kind of kill the time. And it was just very, very he was a character that just was super relatable to someone like me.
And I can totally see that because he's an enlisted man that made his way up through the ranks. He made chief. He's going to be, if you follow anything at the end of DS9, he's going to go on and actually teach at the academy. This is how this is how you do this. If you dig into the history and the specs of the Defiant, Cisco kind of talks about it shaking itself apart.
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think that was when they had just gotten the newly commissioned San Pablo, and it had been renamed. You know, they gave special dispensation and special order, and renamed the San Pablo the Defiant. And I remember he said, I think she's a little shaky, and Nog is like, yeah, we can adjust it this way, just like they did in the Defiant. So they have that experience with the Defiant. They know how to, they're like, it's a little shaky. Yeah, sir. Yeah, we're gonna fix that. No problem. But yeah, it was it's an overpowered ship. Don't get me wrong, but it was the idea of it was one of the first concepts where Starfleet finally came out and said, we're gonna, put some teeth to our, we're gonna put some teeth out there, and especially when they finally upgraded DS9, and when the Klingons are fighting, and that battle is going on, you're just like, holy crap! And then Cisco's like, I cannot say more than how proud I am of my people. And I mean, he was, and then he's telling Gowron, he's like, my reinforcements, my shields are holding. I've still got weapons. My fleet's going to be here before yours. Do I tell them to stand down or open fire?
That's
I
right.
mean, he literally is right there staring at the leader of the Klingon Empire with Martog right next to him. And he is like literally saying, I'm not blinking. I'm not
That's right.
moving. I'm standing. I am standing. And one of the best episodes, I would say, is the one where Nog lost his leg. And you have that this one character actor. I love this guy. He's in a lot
Well,
of
hold
movies.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on 1 second. On 1 second. You got to remember before you go into the Nog, because I do want to hear that. I do want to hear that. But you got to remember also, before that battle at DS9 started, Gowron straight up, you're a Griska cat trying to frighten us with your roar. And Cisco's like, this old cat might not be as toothless as you think. And I remember
Oh yeah,
I remember watching that with my dad. And he's like, I've seen what that station can do. It can't fight all those Klingons. I'm like, well, just wait, just wait. O'Brien's been working on shit getting ready for the Dominion. And he hadn't watched it, dude. He hadn't watched it since like the first episode. So when Worf comes back, he hadn't seen everything. I'm like, the Dominion is a new evil badass power, and they've been getting the station ready. And he was like, oh, so when the station transforms, dude. Oh
yeah.
you see those launchers
Oh,
come out of place and the phaser bays opening. Yeah.
I know. I mean, who would have thought that you could make an epic space battle with a space station and spaceships? And man, did they nail it! I mean, shit is getting destroyed. The Klingons are taking a beating, and even Worf says to lose an empire to win a war is no victory, but to what was it? To retreat from a battle is no defeat. And then he was like, this is not something we'll forgive or forget. It's like, no, you're going to forget when you realize you need the Federation.
Yeah,
But
it was to win a battle, or to lose an empire to win a battle is no victory, and to end a battle to save an empire is. I believe that's what he said.
Is no defeat. I believe
There's
is
no
how he said
defeat.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was and like I was saying, where I was going to take a character like extra characters, Rom, Morn, Nog. I mean, what was Rom's wife? Even the Bajoran Dabo lady.
Yeah,
I mean,
Lita.
Yeah, these characters all got a very well written story arcs, and they weren't even main characters. And I mean, DS9 did something that hadn't been done, and I think still has really not been done very well from Voyager or ENT or any of the CBS. Is you have these extra characters that you have. Nog started out in the very beginning, and he gets to the point where he evolves into he wants to be something more than just another Ferengi. And I mean, you got Cisco pushing him, wanting to know why. Why do you want this? Why? Where's the greed? Where's the profit? And I mean, just the way he does. And then when you see Nog as a cadet, and then eventually as an ensign, and then he goes through that whole emotional turmoil where he loses his leg. And where I was going with that was the episode where Cisco's on the ground at this, they're on this planet, and he says, the enlisted officer, that one extra actor, I cannot think of his name, but he's like, what do? We hold. And then at the end of it, and then at the end of it, he goes, Cisco goes, we hold. And the guy was like, those were our orders, sir. And I was like, my God. And then at the end, when he's been playing with that knife this whole time, and he just at the end, he's like, you ready? He throws that knife down. He goes, I'm ready to go.
Ready to go.
I'm like, you had no idea why he had that knife. He's like, I've let this go. This battle is over. This was my symbol of the battle. It's over. I'm ready to leave. I was like,
those episodes,
so much.
Yeah, those episodes reached in and touched us, guys. Those episodes are the ones that they made me cry, dude. I'll admit it. I'm a grown man. I get teary-eyed
Hey,
sometimes. When he threw that
hey,
knife down, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Because I completely understood exactly what he did. That's that. I'm leaving that here.
yeah, and that is the key thing. And I mean, remember, he was just an extra. This is a guy who's just a character in one episode. You see him with he's wearing those vials. The oh shit, what was the name of that stuff?
Catch yourself white.
Yeah, he's wearing those Ketracel whites around his neck, and you're thinking this guy is going to probably be the problem. And it turns out he's one of the best characters in the episode, where he is determined to do his job. And you know, when Na gets hurt, and he's like, "The kid did good."
Yeah.
He's like, you know, he responded that, but the emotional outcome for Nog, even though he got a replacement leg, was they actually did something that only TNG barely touched on after Best of Both Worlds, and that is the PTSD trauma. Nog, they actually did that, you know, did a really good episodes with him going to hang out with Vic. Yeah, he's hanging out with Vic Fontaine. He's doing his thing, and he's trying to avoid what he's gone through. And you know, it's hard, and it's something that is really relatable to people like me, especially, you know, I've never served in combat. I'll be the first one to say. My wife did. My wife served behind the wire in Afghanistan. She had to deal with bombs going off, shit like that. And when she got home, she still to this day has issues with certain things that will trigger a little bit of a reaction. And this is 7, 8 years later. So, you know, when they got into the mental trauma, I thought this, especially watching it as a 40-year-old man now and a retired military person, I was like, they were so ahead of their time. It is unreal.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. They that to me, that is the height of Star Trek, was DS9. I think there were aspects of Voyager that I didn't like, but it had nothing to do with the fact that there was a woman captain. After Janeway got her balls, I wanted a strong female captain. That's what I wanted. That's what I was asking for. I wanted a kick-ass, strong woman captain, and she did that and kept her femininity too. That's important. You know, she had her femininity, and she was tough as nails.
Well, it was, you know, an old school, I mean, for lack of anything nowadays, it was more of an old school where you could be a badass woman and still be feminine and still, you know, promote your sexuality without being, you know, in your face. I mean, we could go to any number of series. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Look at all the strong women in there. Look at Firefly. Look at what was that one with Alicia Couture? Dollhouse. Oh God, I love that show. Dollhouse. Man, talk about an original idea. But there were so many. Xena, for example, there were so many strong female characters that have always been there. And I think sometimes people get on the straight. They say Sarah Connor. They say Ripley. And you know, I totally get that. But I want to remind people that, you know, you can find so many strong women throughout any TV series, and it was never, you know, shot up in your face. Yes, we knew the captain was going to be a woman. Okay, great. I think most of us were all kind of excited. We wanted to see what this would be like, and unfortunately, they just had a few those first few seasons that I don't think they knew what to do with Janeway, and then by season 4 they finally figured out, you know, the character, the actor. I don't know if the writers and everything. They finally figured out how to get her to, you know, be a captain we all want to root for. Because I'm sorry, but I still had trouble. There's an episode I'll say I will never watch because it pisses me off so bad, and that's the Tuvix episode. I hate that episode.
Yeah, I don't like that episode either. And I want to say real quick, Hamlet's strategy brings up Kate Mulgrew called Star Trek an anti-female show a couple of Trek cons ago. Perhaps she should consider what her career would have been like without Star Trek or fans. I would also like to say that they have called out multiple times. They have called out Gene Roddenberry for being a sexist maniac or whatever. I want to tell you something. It wasn't the studio. that gave Major Barrett the opportunity to be first officer on the pilot of Star Trek.
Nope, that was Roddenberry, and yeah, and if you actually watch some of the behind the scenes on that one, and I remember them, that the whole point why the cage was working was one of the big reasons was it was actually her as first officer was pissing off women.
Yep.
There were women actually that was the key thing. People think it was the men. It was actually mostly women who were angry about her character. They literally said one of those, who does she think she is?
Yep.
And but he still gave her a shot. And I'll be honest with you, I would love to have seen Majel Barrett play that first officer more. I mean, she just I said this when I watched The Cage. I always I always joke when I say this because I say Pike's a bit sexist. And then he says to, number one, he goes, "Oh, I don't like having a woman on the bridge." He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, number one." And then she looks away and then he says, "You're different." And then she looks back at him like, almost like, I swear to God, it was almost like she wanted to say, "You know what? Fuck you."
Yeah.
Exactly. The way she said thank you, or however she said it, was like, if that wasn't a fuck you, I don't know what was.
Yep. No, and she did it with her eyes too. She did it all with her eyes because she couldn't say it, but she was like, and did it all with her eye. That look. Every guy knows that look. It's the look. You can even get that look over the phone, and you're like, gulp. Yeah, and dude, she is the original number one.
She is, and she deserves all the accolades. Well, think about too. She was number one. She was Nurse Chapel. She was the computer voice forever. I mean, and she. I remember reading something. I was watching something with Majel Barrett where he gave her the role on Enterprise on Star Trek TOS as Nurse Chapel, and she put the wig, the blonde wig on and everything because Gene Roddenberry was a little worried that if she comes back on the show, the studio might get mad, and so she puts the blonde wig, changes up, and Gene Roddenberry said he didn't really even recognize her. And she goes, "Well, if I can fool you, I can fool the studio."
That's right.
Something like that. That woman was an amazing actor. Yes, amazing actor. Hands down, she was one. And if I'm not mistaken, she was one of the reasons why some of things like Andromeda and Earth, what was it? She was responsible for those shows getting even off the ground.
Yep, she was. And a absolutely wonderful woman. And that's something I want to bring up because I'm not gonna bash anything. Today is a day of celebration. It's Friday. Everyone's happy. I'm not gonna bash anything, but I'm gonna say this. It is amazing that what is it now? Over 50 years ago, Star Trek, created by Gene Roddenberry, would show us that sex doesn't matter, that your skin color doesn't matter, that what planet you're from doesn't matter, that if you have a disability, that doesn't matter. And today,
that was one of the,
we can't do that. Today, they can't do that.
What about that episode with what about that episode? Remember that episode? You had the lady who had she was from a low gravity environment.
Yep.
And, she was, trying to exceed her disability, which wasn't her fault. She got through the academy. She became, and the doctor, Julian is trying to help her, acclimate to a regular gravity environment. And she decides at the end, she goes, "I don't want to lose what makes me special." And I'm like, damn it, you fucking got it. You have this disability, but you don't want to give up who you are. You feel like this will change who you are. So you are content to push yourself and know your limitations, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and learn how to become a better person because of them, and not take an easy way out because you fear that it will change who you are and it will take away. I mean, I think she even said it'd take away a little bit of her, it would give her independence, but it would take away a part of her. And she was like, she liked it, but she's like, I want to be able to go back home. I want to be able to do I want to be able to do the low gravity stuff. I want to be able to see my family again. And she's like, this is not worth it for me. And I'm like, this is a strong character development right there. You made one episode where you took a person with disability and they had a chance to fix it. And they said, you know what? Fixing this is not a fix because it's going to change me and I don't want to be different.
That's right.
I mean, you can't get, just those little nuances are why I love Star Trek so much and why, I'm so disappointed in what CBS has given us because they've given us no substance, no context. They'll say, well, this is a strong female character. Okay, why is she strong? What makes her a strong character? I think that is something the audience is supposed to, determine for themselves. As I said, I'm the consumer. I'm the person who's going to make the final decision. Now, you can sit here and call me a misogynist, man-hating pig all you want. It's still not going to change the fact that I'm telling you why your character sucks. Your character sucks because your writing is poor. Your direction for this character is poor. Your direction is not Star Trek. You could have done this with any other generic show, and maybe it would have worked, but you did it with the logo Star Trek on it, and you're mad we're not happy with you for what you're giving us. And then they keep, I think was recently, the whole Pike series where they're going to call it, Strange New Worlds, and they're going to go back. They're like, we're going to get back to being optimistic. We're going to get back to exploration. I'm like, yeah, didn't you say that shit in season 2 of Discovery and season 1 of Picard? Because I'll tell you what, I watched very little of season 2 of Discovery, and I watched all of Picard, and I sure as hell didn't see any optimism. In fact, all I could see was, I'm literally like, Patrick Stewart, did you really need this money?
Yeah, and Life of Matthew, if you're still out there, I just sent a link. It says radiotimes.com. That is the interview where she calls Star Trek sexist. That is the interview where she calls Star Trek sexist. 2019. There you go. So, well, guys, we're just about to hit an hour, brother. And we're going to go ahead and close. Is there anything you want to say before we get off here? Anything? Any kind of closing arguments? Anything?
Other than I want to say, ¿Cómo está to Iron Man Mexicano?
Mexican Iron Man, you have a fan, sir.
Oh, dude, man, when I heard him on your show the other day, I was like literally rolling on the floor laughing. I'm like, this guy is a riot. He is so fun to listen to. I couldn't get enough of him. I mean, literally, I was like, holy crap, this guy is hilarious. Because being Mexican.
Go ahead, read it.
Because being Mexican, there ain't no Mexicans in the future of Star Trek. It's hard to be optimistic when there ain't no taco trucks in the future.
Shit. Well, thank you for being here this morning. I hope everybody has a great Friday. I hope everybody.
Now, Loki, I hope you have a great Friday. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I am hands down looking forward to Monday, catching up with you with your Monday show. Who are you going to have as your guest on Monday?
I have no idea yet. I have absolutely no idea yet. I'm going to have to figure it out. I don't know if I asked somebody or not yet. I got to go look at my notes and be like, okay, who do I got for Monday?
Can I recommend Mexican Iron Man? I think he's going to become a
if
guilty
he can
pleasure.
make it. I know we just did a show last night. If he can make Monday, if can't, he can make Tuesday. Mexican Iron Man can come on whenever he wants to. He knows that. All he has to do is send me a thing. Hey, I want to come on. Okay, you're on.
Oh, absolutely. He is a trip. Also, I'm looking forward to Monday. We're going to do Let's Talk Star Trek. We're going to talk about the character Q. Stone Loki and Samantha Joe, one and a half of the Valkyries, has graciously agreed to come on my channel. And I look forward to having you guys. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about the character Q. I think that, it's going to be the first time we're actually going to all talk about one particular subject. And we're going to break it down. And I want to hear what everybody has to say. Because like I said, I want guests. I want different people. When I asked Samantha Joe, she was like on Twitter, she's like, Here's my hand going up. I'm like, oh shit, cool. I didn't know you were a Star. I didn't know she was a Star Trek fan and she loves Q. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Please come on my show. I love to have you. I want to have
to know what time the Q show is.
It'll be Monday, 6:30 Eastern Daylight Time.
Cool. Eastern Daylight Time.
Yeah. Sorry, if anybody doesn't know what that means, it just means Eastern Standard Time. But because we sprang forward, it's a military term because we use the term Eastern Daylight Time because a lot of times we had meetings with other countries and they don't do spring forward or fall back. So sometimes when we spring forward, we had to change our meetings around. So we had to use that term when we send out emails and stuff to let people know what time. So it's just that's why I say that's why if you ever see anything that says EDT or Eastern Daylight Time, that's what I mean.
And yeah, guys, tonight at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be on Captain Trek's channel with Rambling Canuck and Vance Major Owen. So if you guys can make that, he does some awesome Star Trek fan films.
Yeah, Captain Trek was on my channel one time, and I'd love to have him back. We had a great time, I think. So, Loki, I hope you guys have a great time tonight. I look forward to sitting back, having some popcorn, and reading the chats.
Awesome, man. Thank you. And I can't wait for Monday, dude. I cannot wait for Monday. Yes, Miss Iron Man, I am tired, but I'm going to have a nice, relaxing weekend. So to everybody out there, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Be excellent to each other. And we will see you guys back. I'll see everybody tonight if you want to jump on Captain Trek channel, but I'll see everybody Monday morning. You guys have a great one.